Why does the rapture happen before the tribulation? Welcome back to my series End Times 101, where I teach you all about the end times. Let's dive right in. So to understand why the rapture happens first, there are two things that we need to understand. One is the character of God, and two is what's written in the Bible, and these basically go hand in hand. So first of all, we're going to take a look at the Bible. I'm going to give you a very brief rundown on three characters that we find in the Old Testament, and we're going to see a pattern in God's character there. So number one, we have Enoch. Enoch, the Bible says, was a man who walked with God faithfully, and then he was no more because God took him away. He didn't die. He was raptured. This happens not very long before the floods take place, which brings us to number two, which is Noah. The Lord comes to Noah and tells him, I'm going to flood the earth, build an ark. Basically, get out of here. I'm going to flood the earth. And of course, Noah builds the ark. He goes in there with his family, and he is kept safe from God's wrath. Then the third person is named Lot. He's found in a very wicked city called Sodom. The Lord comes to Abraham and tells him, I'm going to destroy Sodom and Gomorrah because of the wickedness in it. Before he destroys them, he sends two angels to go to Lot. And what the angels tell Lot is what I also want us to focus on. They say, get out of here. We cannot do anything to this place until you get out. Again, we see a pattern where Lot is taken out before the wrath of God falls on these wicked cities. We can begin already from the very beginning to see a pattern in God's character that when his wrath is coming, he removes his people from that scene time and time and time again. So now let's take a look at what the Bible says. There's a couple verses, two in particular that I want to talk about. 1 Thessalonians 5:9 and 1 Thessalonians 1:10. He says, for God has not appointed his church to wrath. Number two is 1 Thessalonians 1:10 that says, Jesus who rescues us from the coming wrath. So now we fast forward to the tribulation period. The tribulation period is described by Jesus as a time that the earth has never seen before, and it is also a time that the earth will never see again. Why? Because this is the period where God's wrath is poured out on the entire earth. 3.5 years of tribulation and 3.5 years of great tribulation, where God is pouring out his wrath on the earth in horrific ways. It is very dreadful what takes place there. But if we take a look at God's character, we can begin to see that God's wrath is not for us. God did not ask you to receive him only to then throw you into the tribulation and pour his wrath out on you, because he's a righteous God. He's a just God. He rescues his people from his wrath. Therefore, the rapture is God's method of evacuation to rescue his people before he pours his wrath on the earth. So basically, that is why the rapture happens before the tribulation. I know it's a lot. So make sure you save the video and go back through the references and go back through the scriptures so you can study it in your own time. And as always, if you enjoyed watching this video, make sure you follow for more Bible education.